It's almost been a month since Holiday Ops started in World of Tanks. Players decorate their garages, complete their collections, and enjoy the festive atmosphere. Would you like to know how Snow Maidens appeared in the game and what they looked like in the beginning? Or how many kittens there are in the holiday garage? Or which Polish army member became a prototype for a holiday decoration? Get yourself a warm drink and make yourself comfortable. Let's start from the beginning. The holidays remind many people of their childhood memories. However, not everyone manages to hold on to that festive feeling they had back in the day. 3 years ago, our developers decided to help players regain this holiday mood.
When I was 13 or 14 years old, my father told me, "Dima, you are already big, so let's not put up a tree this year. It's more of a kid's thing." I listened to him and thought that on the one hand, sure, every 13-year-old feels like an adult already. But on the other hand, how can you not have a tree for the holidays? How can you not have this atmosphere and all the other festive stuff? That's most likely when I started having my annual dilemma. I see my father telling me that I'm already an adult. I don't need the tree, I don't need decorations, and I have to be a grown-up. But I don't want to always be a grown-up. There are times when I want a tree and decorations or to have fun. Sometimes I want to get rid of all the serious stuff and let adults be kids again. I want to feel like a kid. I think there is a subset of people who left the winter holidays in their past, in their childhood. They say that there's lots of work to do. Maybe they don't have enough time. Maybe they simply don't want to celebrate. Or maybe they think they're too old for it. I probably never told it to anyone, but I see a sort of mission I set for myself. This year, we had to try to make Holiday Ops in such a way that adults who play the game and see their holiday garage could feel like kids once again.
The developers gathered feedback and reactions from players about previous Holiday Ops and kept the elements everyone liked. Decorations for the tree and garage, increasing festive atmosphere, and receiving gifts. However, they also added many new things to keep the players interested. First of all, they changed the appearance of the garage.
When we outlined the initial requirements, we planned to reuse the old garage. But when we started working on it, we changed a thing here, another thing there. In other words, the appetite came with eating. In the end, we reworked the whole garage, separated the areas of interest by height, changed the lighting and added some objects. Basically, we remade the garage from scratch.
Large decorations and other objects were added to the garage while the lighting was improved, and it also became livelier. Developers improved the soldiers' animation using motion capture technology.
Well, every time we shoot Mocap, we always try to be professional, but it's still extremely fun. It's because you have to play certain roles that seem pretty weird for you. Like, you have to gather your thoughts and say, "Hey Stas, pass me that cup." But you're talking to a girl and she doesn't look like a Stas. So it's fun. Probably the biggest shoot that required the most work, coordination, and planning was the festive dinner. Last year we had 2 soldiers who were actively talking at the dinner table, and the rest were, well, filler to make the shot more populated. This year we decided we have to expand. We wanted to have a conversation scene with 8 soldiers, and there were 3 of us shooting. We sat in a checkerboard pattern to have each of us play 2 or sometimes 3 roles and make the animations overlap. Sometimes we had nobody to talk with, and we had to imagine someone who was not there. Pretty interesting in general. Coordinated filming with a pinch of imagination.
The festive garage changed considerably, but one thing remained the same: cats.
We have this cat-related Easter egg in the game. We have little cats that live in certain places. During the 2019 event, a kitten sat at the table with the soldiers. And this year, when we had already made the garage, we remembered about the cats and we realized we had to place them somewhere. We had to have kittens. When we opened the cat models, we saw these old, low-poly models and they looked, I don't want to say very ugly, but you know. We wanted to model new kittens. But by the time we remembered about them and decided to add them, there wasn't much time left before the garage had to be finished and sent for testing to manage by the planned release date. We simply didn't have time for the cat. And if we added the low-poly cat model that has about 60 triangles, compared to the Snow Maidens with their facial animation, fur and skin shaders, and so on, I think it would have looked awful. So I removed all the cats. I remember during our presentation the next day, Maxim Chuvalov asked, "Where are the cats?" I was very sad and I replied, "I'm sorry, Maxim, but we don't have any cats this year." When he asked why, I explained the situation. And I remember Maxim said, "That's okay, but those are our cats. We've got to have them. Why not?" So we added 4 kittens to the garage, 3 obvious ones and a 4th hidden one. And I hope those who found it or will find it will have at least one amazing wish come true next year.
Not just the garage, but also the decoration collections were updated. Some new unusual decorations were added. Some of them were made thanks to players.
Some players decorate their garage similar to how they decorate their home, so that it feels like home. I saw some comments where a person would say, "I have this very cool decoration at home. I love it a lot, and I've had it since I was little." I made a note for myself, copied the picture, went to the artists and told them, "Guys, make sure you add this one." And that was cool. I think making even one player happier is amazing. And of course, I think there are some players who also have such decorations at home, so they'll see them, recognize them, and be more the merrier.
You can find decorations from all over the world in the decorations collections. Some have their own interesting stories.
This year, we have several decorations that are based on completely true stories. Some of them were suggested by the regional teams. World of Tanks is an international game, and we have a community of players from all around the world. And all these players in all these regions have their own festive symbols, their own objects, and their own characters they'd like to see in the game. Of course, we couldn't just ignore them, so we added them to the game in some form or another. We wanted to add a bit of education in the description of these decorations. Some of them actually quite literally say, "Guys, look this up. It's an interesting story." There is a decoration for the Christmas tree called Wojtek the Bear. It's a real character. Well, not real. The bear is a half-mythical, legendary member of the Polish army. If players look Wojtek up and read about what makes this bear famous, I think the story will definitely evoke some positive thoughts and they'll want to have the decoration in their garage.
But more often than not, decoration descriptions contain jokes, funny stories, references to art, music, games, and cinema. Apart from the new decorations, there are other guests in the garage this year. Developers wanted to add some Talismans, which are characters who would help players complete their decoration collections to the garage.
I remember chatting with Georgy Radionov and Andrei Bieletsky and discussing these talismans, what they could be and what they could do, which led to the idea that some holiday character would appear in the garage. We wanted it to interact with the player, to not only give some bonus or gifts, but actually live in the garage, for the player to see them as an actual character. And after many discussions, we came up with Snow Maidens. Snow Maidens had to be in the garage. They represent something near and dear to the heart and the festive mood when the holidays are near. When we came up with the idea of Snow Maidens, altogether we simply decided that's it. And we wouldn't be trying to think of something else. We'll have Snow Maidens. After they finalized the idea and gave us the green light, we started creating, generating ideas, drawing sketches, and after the first preview, we got feedback that looked something like, "Wow guys, keep it cool. The maidens are a bit too sassy."
The artists continued their work after a couple of days. They created the Snow Maidens that are already familiar to you. The sketches looked beautiful, but moving them to the garage was not an easy task.
We discovered that the character models we created before lacked polygons, so we received a new experience as we needed to add polygons. use better textures at a higher resolution, and develop new shaders for hair, skin, eyes, fur, and so on. We went to the R&D team and developed it all in a very short time period.
The developers quickly got to work. Before that, the game had only needed the technology for the materials that made up the vehicles and environment, and now it needed special shaders for the realistic depiction of people. Apart from Snow Maidens, there is another character who makes the holidays special.
Yeah, we didn't plan to add Santa Claus. At one of the meetings, Andrei Belietsky asked, "Why don't we make Santa Claus too?" And everyone went, "Ooh, that's right. Why don't we?" So we started developing Santa. Initially, the requirements were to make something in between Santa Claus and the Russian grandfather Frost, Ded Moroz. We started drawing such a hybrid using parts of both characters. We had a pretty nice looking Santa who fit well into the composition with Snow Maidens, the sleigh, and all that. We presented it and got the feedback. We don't want a traditional Santa. We want something special, something modern. We went back to the drawing board to make a new Santa. The next prototype that everybody liked was based on Ernest Hemingway. We took his famous picture in a sweater with a large collar and started working around it to make our new Santa Claus. We spent some time developing him. We wanted him to be our own Santa Claus from World of Tanks, who could go to any player no matter where they live. And they would instantly understand that this Santa is from World of Tanks. Everybody liked his appearance, but we faced the issue that our Santa didn't fit the environment with that beautiful sleigh made of glass. We started thinking about what we could replace that sleigh with. We looked at several wooden sleigh options, but didn't find anything interesting. There was an idea to replace the sleigh with a snowmobile, but it was too small and unremarkable compared to Santa and the Snow Maidens. That's when we came up with the idea of the Aerosani, flying sleigh. We used the Soviet prototype Sever 2, which was based on the Pobeda car. Took off the roof and got a convertible that looked like just the car for our beautiful Snow Maidens.
The festive atmosphere is not only about Santa Claus and Snow Maidens, it's also about the magical music. Last year, you could hear it playing in the house. This year, there is a pianist and a record player. Just like last year, the music sounds better and richer the higher the level of festive atmosphere you have.
At first, the pianist has little experience, so he makes mistakes. But then he learns to play better, makes some occasional mistakes, but he doesn't stop playing. And by the end, by level 10, he plays more complex pieces easily. He can improvise, and he simply enjoys what he does.
There is a unique track written for each collection, but all of them are made so that when you change them, they don't play from the beginning, but flow into one another like a single melody. All this creates a greater holiday mood in the garage. Such music makes you want to complete the collections and receive rewards for them, special 2D styles, some of which are made thanks to our players.
I remember last year's holiday ops when I was reading one of the forums and I saw a player posted a picture of a camouflage for the object 430U, I think, which was painted in green with tangerines drawn on it. And the post said, "Come on, developers, here you go. A great holiday ops camouflage. I want this in my garage." But by that time, we had already made all the styles for collections. It was almost the end of development. We were already testing the event, and the release of Holiday Ops was close. And I remember saving this style as a reference for the following year. A couple of hours later, I met our art director Vitaly in a hallway, and he tells me, "Anton, I saw a style with tangerines in the forum. We need it in the holiday event." I told him, "Sorry, Vitaly, but we're already finishing development. It's too late to add it." He says, "All right, we'll add it next year." I told him I had saved it, and I also wanted to add it. So we came to an agreement. When we created a task for the development of 2D styles for Holiday Ops 2020 collections, there was a description for such and such style with tangerines, along with my examples and references attached. I sent it to the guys and got the response the same day saying, "Anton, we already have it ready. We made it back when last year's event was still going." The art director came and told us, "Guys, make a Holiday Ops style with tangerines. We'll add it next year, so let it sit on a shelf for a while to await its moment."
The preparations for Holiday Ops lasted the whole year. Many rooms had fir trees installed since August. But now, in December, the real holiday mood started creeping in. To help players feel the festive mood, developers started releasing Holiday Ops videos a couple of days before the start of the event.
We wanted to make a nice and really wholesome teaser for Holiday Ops. Looking at the number of views or whatever, it wasn't anything special or outstanding on YouTube or among the World of Tanks videos. However, I still think that this was our starting point, as it is what allowed everyone to kickstart the holiday mood.
To create the holiday atmosphere in the videos, it needed to be created on the filming set. Beautiful snow maidens, holiday vehicles, snow, fir trees, and Santa's air sleigh.
It's the Gaz 21 Volga. Modified it to look more or less like the in-game model. We took off its wheels, mounted skids, a propeller at the back, and it looked so cool that after the shoot we decided to not disassemble the Volga and throw it away. We kept it and sent it to Moscow for the Stream of the Year event. Those who attended it could see this Volga with their own eyes and touch it with their own hands.
Santa's air sleigh also appeared in the in-game video that set the holiday mood in the garage. Hundreds of specialists worked on Holiday Ops. Many new things appeared in the garage, things that made the World of Tanks holiday as cozy and wholesome as you remember. But the real holiday started only when players started taking part.
Of course, the main thing is that the whole Holiday Ops, all that we've done, we did only because the players like it. We make Holiday Ops bigger and better every time. It takes more and more effort and time each time. And every event we get this response, this energy, and we use it to make it even better next time. That's why I want to say thank you to those players who write comments, both good and bad. They show their emotions. They aren't afraid to admit they are 40 years old and yet love it when they get to feel like children again inside the game. This helps us very much. It focuses on the work at hand to make everything even better and even more interesting.
These holidays are not even over yet, and the developers have already started working on the next one. They are reading the forums, comments under the videos, and noting ideas for the next Holiday Ops. We still have some time to enjoy this festive atmosphere, complete collections, and receive some presents.